Can you hear me? Test, test.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you too. Thank you. All right, Madam Mayor, we are live streaming and recording and ready to rock and roll.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It is 7:01 on June 24th, 2025, and I now call to order the 2163rd regular meeting of the City of College Place City Council. Mary Elizabeth, will you please take roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Jessup,
Present.
Councilmember Cleveland,
Present.
Councilmember Peterson,
Present.
Councilmember Sherman. Present. Councilmember Boyle. Present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Will you all please join me at the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, thank you. Sorry, I am so off on my agenda here. It is now time for public comment. Mary Elizabeth, did anyone submit a written comment in advance or request to speak via telephone or virtually?
No, ma'am.
All right. If there's anyone in council chambers that would like to speak during public comment on a topic that is not currently on our agenda, please raise your hand. All right, step up to press the green button, state your name and address for the record. The middle button, I'm sorry, the middle button turns the light green.
It's green. All
Thank
right.
you, thank you. And you have 3 minutes.
My name is Elizabeth Brochu. I live on Mockingbird Drive in College Place. And I would like to direct my comments this evening to outgoing City Administrator Mike Rizzatello. I hope I pronounced that right. Close enough? I want to take this opportunity to recognize and express my appreciation for all that you have done for the residents of College Place. Nearly 4 years ago, I was dumbfounded to learn that without the knowledge of residents, Country Estates manufactured home community had been rezoned from mobile home park to multifamily residential, meaning 200 senior citizens were at risk that the land beneath their homes could be sold to a developer, an all too common occurrence across the state and across the country. You were the first city official whom I contacted for clarification and assistance, and you responded within the hour. Such a prompt response is nearly unheard of, and it was duly noted and sincerely appreciated. Thus began a months-long process of working with additional city officials with the goal of restoring mobile home park zoning. Since the zoning was restored in 2021, several residents have passed on. And while that is a sad fact, the facts are also that those residents were able to remain in their own homes until they passed. And that is something I believe we all hope for. But that may not have been the case had the land beneath their homes not been protected by the restoration of mobile home park zoning. Many other residents have since sold their homes, allowing them to be able to use the profits from the sale for their healthcare needs as they age. And those who purchased those homes were able to do so with the security of knowing the land beneath their homes cannot be sold to a developer. Moreover, the zoning was changed citywide, meaning hundreds more senior citizens at Sunset Villa have the same protections and security. Had you not responded so swiftly and positively to my concerns, I likely would have been dissuaded in continuing my efforts. In other words, you played a pivotal role in setting the wheels in motion. Do not forget, this will be part of your continuing legacy and service to the community of College Place. You will be missed. I wish you the very best, and I have no doubt that you will be a tremendous asset and public servant wherever your career may lead you. Thank you.
Well, I wasn't supposed to start this meeting emotional. So thank you. Those were lovely words. Thank you. And it's actually a great way to start this last meeting with Mike here in the City of College Place. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during this public comment period time? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of the agenda for tonight, June 24th, 2025, the council special minutes from June 5th, 2025, the council minutes from June 10th, 2025, excusing the absence of Councilmember Espinosa and excusing the absence of Councilmember Williams. Are there any items any member of the council would like removed from the consent agenda from this time?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second, Peterson.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is passed. We have 3 presentations on the agenda tonight. First, Ms. Esther Click from Walla Walla Emergency Services Communications Center joins us to present on finding a sustainable future for Westcom. Welcome.
Thank you. Is that there? Oh, sorry. First of all, I'll start by saying thank you for your time. I will try to go through this really swiftly. It is a very in-depth presentation, actually, but I will try to cover the main points. Everybody's more than welcome to come and contact me afterwards directly if you guys have any further questions or concerns. I am here to present on establishing a sustainable future for Westcom. So a little bit about me, first of all. My name, like you said, is Esther Click. I am the Westcom manager. So what is Westcom? Westcom is the facility in Walla Walla County that provides 911 emergency services for all of Walla Walla County. That includes the residents of College Place. So we'll talk a little bit about who we are, what we do, what our current funding model, and why are we even looking at this moving forward. I came to Walla Walla about 2 years ago. I've been in the industry for close to 20 years. So I have a very in-depth knowledge of 911, what it entails, our operations, the equipment that is necessary in order to operate. And you will learn as we go through this presentation why we've reached a pivotal point within our county where we really need to sit down and address some significant challenges that we are facing today. So Westcom, like I said, is the public safety answering point. That's a very specific designation that is given across the state to centers that provide primary 911 services to a certain community. We provide 24/7 911 answering services and dispatching services for 9 fire EMS agencies, 4 law enforcement agencies, and many other smaller utilities and organizational agencies across our region that need services from us. We manage both 911 lines and non-emergency lines. Now, non-emergency lines, also known as administrative lines, are lines that people sometimes use when they need to report something, but maybe they don't feel comfortable calling 911 or it's not necessarily an emergency. So if you lose your wallet maybe over the weekend, it's not occurring right now, but you obviously still need to make a police report, then you would typically call the non-emergency line. So it still creates some sort of call volume for us, and it is still a service that's needed within our community. In addition to that, in 2024, we took about 83,000 total calls. Out of those 83,000, we created 57,378 calls for service. So obviously there's a discrepancy here and you're like, where did these other calls go? So some of the calls, as you may understand, do not require dispatching services. Sometimes people call us wanting to know what their court date is or needing referrals to different services. This is an expectation that the Walla Walla County residents have acquired with our center, and it is a service that we have continued to provide throughout the years. So a little bit about us. From 2020 to 2024, our call volume has increased by 5.9%. Now, that may not seem like a lot to you, but as we move forward in the presentation, I hope that a little bit of the additional information will enlighten you why this has become a challenge. We also have merged into some different needs within our community, some of them being behavioral health. We've taken quite a bit of behavioral health calls in 2024. And In addition to that, we've taken about 700 additional calls to our behavioral health calls that have had some sort of relation with behavioral health services. And the reason I point this out is because obviously this is a need across the state. It is something that there is a gap in within services, but it's also because these calls are very special and a little bit different than most calls. Most calls, we can get on the phone, take your information, process it, get somebody going, and be done. Behavioral health calls, however, we understand that the people that are calling us are typically in need of somebody to be with them until somebody else can take over. That means that we are having somebody stay on the phone with somebody sometimes 8 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever the time is for us to be able to give them the next resources they're going to need in order to keep on doing what they need to do and so that we can keep them safe. So that takes a lot of the time from us, and that's time that we can't answer other calls, whether they're 911s or not. So keeping that in mind. We also have deliverables to the state that we're required to do. These are actually okay with me. This is 911 public education program that is required for us to do. In 2024, we delivered over 4,000 pieces of educational content ranging from preschoolers all the way to adult family homes. And adult family homes are actually one of my favorite because a lot of the times we forget about people that live in those centers or those communities and really how much attention they need. And sometimes how the times have changed from when they started and how they don't feel comfortable at times reaching out for assistance when they really should be reaching out. So building that trust and that relationship with our community and our residents within our community is very critical for us. And it's something that obviously requires some time and service from us. In addition to that, one of the key points that this is where it's going to kind of wrap around again is our staffing levels have not changed for 26 years. 26 years since 1997. At times, what this means is that we have 2 dispatchers working. So we have a total of 12 dispatchers, 3 supervisors. The supervisors are working supervisors. I myself, as a manager, sometimes find myself on the floor helping them out with calls because we have such a high volume of calls at times. So when we have 2 dispatchers working at a time, we have one working fire EMS dispatching those calls, and we have one working the law enforcement frequencies. But who's answering the 911s? Well, they are. They're responsible for answering the 911s. They're also responsible for answering all the non-emergency lines without missing any radio traffic. They have to have that skill. Can we do it? Absolutely. Do we do it? Absolutely. Every single day. But we need to be aware of the impacts that this has on our employees, because there is impacts. And we have very tenured dispatchers that I want to keep tenured. I want to keep them there. And one of the ways that we need to do that is to address the fact that we need more dispatchers, because 2 at a time is not enough. So when there's 2 at a time and one needs to take a break because they are entitled to a break, you're left with one person on the floor managing the fire EMS radio, the law enforcement radio, all the 911 calls, and all the non-emergency calls for all of Walla Walla County. This is a fact. In addition to that, we have obviously some technological challenges within our center. We moved to the location that we're at back in 1997 as well. There was some systems that were installed back then, and they have not been upgraded or changed since then. So I question people sometimes, how many of you have computers at home that are still functioning that are from 1997? So that is the systems that we are using to provide a critical service to our residents in Walla Walla County. These are challenges that we're facing. As we move forward, we also have a location that was supposed to be temporary. We obviously have exposure to seismic events. We have the Marcus Whitman right across the street from us. If there was a seismic event, obviously that would collapse into the communication center. We also have Mill Creek running alongside a lot of our critical infrastructure, which is downstairs in our basement where all our 911 lines and our radio equipment is held. So those are things that we need to keep in mind. So posed with all of these challenges, I had to sit down and assess the funding model that we have currently and how can we systemically and equitably address these things without being a further burden on our residents. And that's how we came to have this ballot measure. So currently we're funded, the majority, as you will see, is a user fee. So what that means is that I turn around and I provide services to College Place Police Department, College Place Fire Department, and I deliver you a bill. That brings me in with all the users that I have about $1.9 million. There's also a phone excise tax. That is a state tax that is collected. We don't receive all of it. We get 70 cents. That gives us just over $500,000. That's not a lot of money, really, when you think of a budget to operate a 911 center for an entire county. In addition to that, we do collect an E911 grant. The thing with grants that's very peculiar sometimes, as you may know, is a lot of them come with deliverables required. So most of the money that comes with that has already been pre-allocated. The E911 grant and the excise tax grant does not allow us to use any of those funds for radio equipment or any sort of stuff like that. It can only be used for 911 lines. So there is very strict rules that go along with that we must meet. That gives us a total of about $2.6 million for a budget to run a 911 operations for an entire county. That is a very tight budget, and we make do, and we really live year by year. Being mindful of not over billing my user fees. I call it bleeding my own. I don't want to bleed my own. And so I am very mindful of our user fees and how much we increase them if we do increase them, and making do with what we have for as long as we have been able to. But in the last year and a half, we've experienced some significant radio outages, meaning we have no way to communicate or dispatch calls because our radio system is end of life. And those are the challenges that we face today. So given that, after doing some research, I came up with the idea of putting a sales and use tax proposal to our residents based on an RCW 82-14-420, 20 cents on a $100 purchase. However, there is exemptions that I will talk about as we move forward. Nobody wants to raise taxes. I understand. I am a mother of 3 kids, 3 boys. So they eat a lot and they're very expensive children. I understand. I feel the hit when I go to the grocery store. I get it. But I think we have to, as residents and as community members, really need to balance out safety, critical needs within our community, and how we're going to move forward. So this sales tax use is very well regulated. It will guarantee that every penny collected under this RCW goes to 911, meaning I can use it for infrastructure, operations, facilities, anything that has to do with 911. I can use it for my radio system. I can use it for operations. I can use it for other needs within the center. This is very important to keep in mind. So what gets taxed? It's a tangible personal property. But what does this mean, Esther? I don't know what you're talking about. So what gets taxed? The one thing I want to bring forward first and foremost is your groceries will not get taxed. The majority of your groceries, your milk, your cheese, those types of things. Your prescriptions will not be taxed. This will not add onto your fuel tax. This is not a property tax. What does get taxed, Esther? Well, it's going to be your fast foods, your deli, your prepared foods, your convenience store purchases, a t-shirt, socks, a blender, those types of purchases are going to be impacted. And I understand that adds up to you guys. However, one of the things that we need to keep in mind as we're discussing this is currently the burden of funding 911 operations in Walla Walla County falls fully, completely on the residents of Walla Walla County. With this sales and use tax, we give the opportunity to the people that come and visit us and that use our system to actually help support the system. So it's a little bit more equitable when it comes to presenting it. I understand that residents also go out and eat. I go out and eat with my children when I can. But a lot of that also comes from the visitors. And I think if we can tap into that opportunity and allow them to help us and support our 911 system and be successful with it, that's a big win. And I think it's a better funding model, personally, than the current funding model, which is to continue to bleed my own by turning around and increasing your user fees in your bill every year. I understand that everybody's tight on budget, and that's not probably something you want to hear. So it's a different method. And so in addition to that, as we move forward, you will see what the percentages are that based on what has been accumulated or acquired before on sales and use tax in Walla Walla County, what would we be collecting? But one of the things that I hope to do with this is that it will bring in enough funding, then I can sit down and assess our budget and either reduce or eliminate user fees. That means you might not get a bill from me for providing services for the fire department or for the police department. That is money that goes back into your budget to use as you see the most fit within your area and your community. I think that would be the most appropriate thing to do when I'm blessed with being able to have enough funding to operate. So how much money are you going to bring in, Esther? I don't know. But sales and use tax projections are usually pretty reliable. So I turned out to the Walla Walla County Treasurer's Office. They are collecting currently a 0.1% sales and use tax for behavioral health. So I used those numbers and doubled them to do the 2/10 for me and give me a rough estimate of what I would have collected if I would have been collecting back in 23 and 24. And the numbers they provided me was for 23, $3.4 million, and for 2024, $3.36 million. That in itself goes above and beyond what my current budget is. It will help me operate, prioritize my needs, address the needs as I can, but also be mindful and be responsible by putting money aside and being able to address issues as they come forward and not having to turn to the cities and the counties for money if my tower breaks. So we would be self-sustaining is my goal. That is the end goal. And hopefully not have to charge you guys user fees. So this will be on the August 5th ballot. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. There is a QR code that takes you to our landing page that gives you a lot more information, a lot more pictures. Visibility has my contact information as well on that landing page. You guys are more than happy or welcome to talk to me. Come visit my dispatch center. Come look at the magic that we create every day, because the things that we do and the calls that we listen to and the things that we have to go through every single day, we do it because we believe in the mission. We believe in our purpose within our community, but at the same time, we have to really be able to provide those dispatchers the tools and the equipment that is reliable so that they can be able to produce that good customer service that people depend on every day. And I think the residents of Walla Walla County and the residents of College Place deserve that. So I'm open to any questions. I appreciate your time. I know that was a lot of information.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Councilmember Jessup, questions or comments?
No, thank you for being thorough. No, this obviously is very important service. So thank you. A couple clarities, just briefly. You're projected at 3.3 million, if you were to go towards this model. Your current model, you're saying, is 2.6. You had mentioned briefly about potentially reducing user fees, but are you in general looking for this tax, to replace your current budget model or to add on to it and supplement it?
I would prefer if it replaced it, because I want to be able to provide a win-win for everybody. I want to be able to operate and have a reliable service and a good 911 dispatch center. But I also want to be able to discontinue the billing to our user fees, because it is impactful. The city of Walla Walla Police Department pays me $850,000, so they take a big chunk, and that's very impactful for their budget within the police department. And I acknowledge that. They're partners with me. So the fire department, they're all partners with me, and I take that very seriously. So yes, I'm hoping for it to become a new funding model.
What is the user fee now?
For College Place?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good. For the police department?
Just for the police department.
Just for the police department, it's $250,000. I can't remember off the top of my head, I'm sorry, how much I charge the fire department.
Fire department's around 60, I want to say.
So about $300,000 that you guys would probably get back.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Cleveland,
No questions.
Councilmember Peterson,
No questions.
Councilmember Sherman.
No questions. I've been to dispatch. I understand the need and do support this. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Councilmember Boyle.
I just have to say that the dedication that you and your team have to the mission of what you do is incredible, because in those kinds of heavy working and to the bone and under those conditions, the fact that you guys are dedicated enough to keep it going under those conditions is just incredible and such a blessing to our community. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a few questions, but before I ask my questions, I do want to state that I too deeply appreciate what you all have been doing, and I completely support this. I think it would it's really necessary and much needed today. So there's no opposition. I just want to have some clarification
Absolutely.
questions. So in collecting the money, who controls the money? So let's just say, for example, you bring in 3.3 million. Does the county control that and say, here's 3.3
No.
million? It goes straight to you.
It goes straight to Westcom,
your
and
department.
actually the executive, which city administrator holds a seat in the executive committee for Westcom. So the executive committee for Westcom is who really oversees the
Okay.
larger picture, big infrastructure. They're the ones that approve my user fees when I make them increase. They're the ones that say, okay, yeah, you can have 5% more increase on user fees.
Okay. And is that also how you create your budget? So let's just say, for example, now you're getting an extra $600,000. You could say, well, I'm going to increase salaries 10%. I'm going to spend this much on equipment. Who?
It would be through the executive. Yep, it would all have to be vetted through the executive.
Okay, just like a nonprofit generally does, almost.
Yeah, so
like
it's an
the
oversight board.
office.
Yep. And it's very well regulated, and we would be audited by the state, obviously. And we would have to prove that every single penny that we take in comes to 911 and that it is actually used within 911.
Okay, and I understand the executive board consists of representatives from each of your partners, right?
Yes, within the interlocal agreement, yes.
So would that include, would their responsibilities also include the decision whether to stick with the 3.3, I'm just saying, throwing that number out there, that is brought in through this tax and not have to ask your partners for more money?
Yes, they would be the ones that I would present that to. If we're able to bring in the amount of money to operate and address the challenges that we have, they would be the ones to say, okay, you can no longer, you don't have to collect user fees, and we approve that, and that would go through the executive.
Okay, no, that's great, because obviously there's strong representation from each of the constituent.
Yes, yep, and that's
entities,
all,
right, so.
yep, that's all written out in our local agreement.
Okay, that was all my questions.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, and I see Chief Tamaris probably wants to contradict you a little bit.
No, I want to have her back here. This is really important for our community. We spend a lot of money. This would be a huge saving for our community. And I know you're all endorsing this, which is great, but I've got to say this anyways. We could hire other officers if we could save money, which would be a great benefit to our community. We could take that money and reuse that for our community. And, everybody, not too many of you call 911, but when you do call 911, you want someone to pick up the phone. And the equipment that they have is so old, they're literally keeping it together with bubble gum and duct tape. So I think we need to have a really healthy understanding of that. So this is something that's not a want, this is truly a need. So we highly endorse this. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. We really appreciate your time and for coming out here. Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't.
Yes, Mr.
Jump up from
Ferguson.
the audience, but I do want to just make sure we clarify a couple of things. Scott's over here and I am jumping up out of the audience, so I apologize for that. But it's a BOGO. You buy one, get one apparently. But,
And you're welcome to sit up here if you want to.
No, but I just want to make sure that it's clear, because this is an area where we've had, unfortunately, some experience with regard to the Public Disclosure Commission. So if you do want to take some formal action to support, just be careful that any kind of, the RCW makes it clear that any kind of support or opposition to, you can't use public facilities to support or oppose any ballot proposition. You could, though, pass a resolution in support of that, and we can help you put that together if that's something that the board or the council would like to do. But anyway,
I would like that, but that's just me.
I'm sorry.
I would like you to do that.
Okay.
That's just me.
I'm glad you actually said that, because I was going to ask the question and then I forgot what question I was going to ask, and then I remembered it as she stepped away, and my question was going to be, what can we do to support you? So thank you.
Yeah, and so we can help you with that. Absolutely.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. All right. Thank you again. And please thank your team. We greatly appreciate them, and I can't imagine how they do their work. So I am in awe of their abilities, truly. All right. Let's see. Thank you, gentlemen.
This is where the fun starts.
I know it's really interesting for the rest of the 3 hours we're here. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm just going to start it off, and then I will ask council members or any other staff if they wanted to just do a little something. I just want to talk a little bit on City Administrator Rizzatello's time and service in the College Place community as we bid him farewell. I wanted to get this out at the beginning, and thank you, Mary Elizabeth, for your assistance in this, because I don't want us to be all tired and not remember how important the work that Mike has done and how much it matters to the future of College Place. So as you all know, Mike's been here for almost 9 years, just short. You just couldn't hang on till that run, right? And during his tenure, he fundraised and oversaw countless projects, programs, and initiatives. I believe he stated that he probably did with the last few emails I've gotten this week, reached his $100 million, right? Of grants that he has raised over the last 9 years here. So yes, we got a few emails this week over the weekend. So I want to acknowledge that. Your passion for economic and community development led College Place to currently being the fastest growing city in the region, even though it's 60, but no, I don't know how, I'm just joking about, I don't know how many numbers, but it is. And not just that, we have become the community of choice for many people. I've heard that so many times that people want to live in College Place because of what the vibrancy they feel is happening here and the reputation of our community that they hear from others. Under Mike's leadership, College Place welcomed numerous housing developments, housing security issues, as we heard right at the beginning, public school district. So we've got our own schools, small and chain businesses have come to our community. We have Hop Thief, Panda Express, Chipotle, and our most recent Jersey Mike's. We have numerous small independent businesses such as the Soda Stop. And why am I forgetting? No, Chloe's Art. Enable Art. Yes, Enable Art. Sorry. The Happy Wander. Exactly. So, and those are locally owned businesses by families who live, in our communities. I say community, it's, Walla Walla County. And so they do their business here, they shop here, they benefit, they raise their children here. So that's important. You've championed arts initiatives such as the traffic utility art box competition and the Poor Farm Monument. You were part of the founding group of Koala Creative District, and I know that took a lot of work. That not just benefit College Place, but brought in geographical neighboring cities together, which is very unique. I believe the 3 is the only one in the state. That's how unique this is. And it was a concept that you brought. You insisted on launching community events, which we will now probably forever celebrate, including the Freedom Festival, Winter Fest, block parties, Market in the Park, formerly known as Farmers Market, movies in the park, and our trunk or treat events, which I think people love because, as we see every year, it's growing. The addition of several parks, public parks for the community, as well as distinctions for College Place, such as Arbor Day Foundation's Tree City USA, that we get to plant that tree every year, our Blue Zones designation. You've served under 3 mayors. How many council members? I don't know, dozens? No, not that many's turned around, huh?
Yeah, money, so probably, I guess, probably 11 or so.
Okay,
Yeah.
just short of a dozen.
Yeah.
All right. So, and you've been on ON, you've supported. Now here's going to be countless and dozens, commissions, advisory boards, and other types of supporting College Place volunteerism in our community. You currently are leaving a huge hole in our community and our boards, including the Metropolitan Planning Organization, where you currently are chair. Thank you, because now they're bugging me with that email. You sat on the YMCA, BMAC, and Koala boards, and you had over $880 million in grants in the Works for City projects benefiting the community right now that you've also worked on. I know you're going to be missed on those boards. You have these people scrambling to replace you, although they're replacing your seat because they all say that they're not going to be able to replace what you brought to the table. And I've got to agree with them there. I want to remind everybody that Friday, the 27th, we're going to be having a little going away party on our own for Mike at Hop Thief from 3 to 7 p.m. You're welcome to come stop by, give him a hug, tell a story, have an adult beverage or a soda, and a pizza or a salad for those of us who shouldn't be eating pizza. And Mary Elizabeth has been sharing, have you been sharing the pictures that we've been going? That Mike took on his bike rides often, and he's bicycling around town, that many people have seen him sometimes in the dark.
Yeah.
And how many things came up. So I want to, those are just a tiny tidbit, I know, that I didn't even cover of the things that you've done, because I've seen your whiteboard.
Yeah.
I've seen your whiteboard, and from the minute I stepped in your office back in 2019 to today, it never got any less.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
In fact, I think you even started writing sideways or, to try to fill it because there was no more space. So I know there's so much more. Do any council members have anything they wanted to add that you can think of? Because many of you have worked with Mike much longer than I have.
I'll go.
I think you want to.
Oh, do we want to?
All right, he tagged you.
Okay, so Mike, I've started working with you when I was with United Way, and Christy and I came to you. And you may have come to us, but we got together because we needed to figure something out for affordable childcare in the summer for College Place.
Yeah.
And you were able to, as you do with every other circumstance put in front of you, think outside of the box in a way that constantly astounds me and come up with ways that our community can partner and meet the needs of our residents. And we were able to offer opportunities to these kids, and we still are, that are more affordable and more accessible than any other city or program of its caliber out there. And you take what you do so personally, and watching you work just really touches me, because you don't take things and do your job because it's your job to do it. You tackle everything like it matters to you as a person, not as your role. And I think that that is such a huge piece of why our city has had the opportunity to grow and be successful in so many ways. And that is not you do a good job. That is, you are an incredible human being, and in every way that you do it. So thank you
Thanks.
for all of that.
So I was first introduced to Mike via his resume at the meet and greet here, and I was reading it and did not think he could be, I didn't think it was real. I thought it was bullshit, to be honest. And I didn't think that a single person could have had that much stuff on a resume, especially because a lot of it had like the year that you graduated high school and college and stuff. And I was like, he's a baby. Of course, this is all made up. So I didn't expect you to be real. And now 9 years later, I know that you're not. Like, it's been amazing to see that like all this stuff just happened. But, from the moment in our session afterwards, after all of the interviews, when all of us looked around the room, and of course we can't say what was said, but we all were like, did you all think that? It was just such a great way to know, one, that you were going to be great for the staff. I don't think John was in on that. John's an oldie. But to know that the council members were as excited to work with you, but that the staff was really excited by what you were presenting at that time, and to see that continue over these years, even though they haven't slept. It's amazing to have grown up in this community and to see what you have made it with the staff and everybody that's been on your team for this. And I'm so grateful. I went to AWC earlier, and it was so fun to talk about all the things that are going on here. And to also know that so many people were understanding the pain that we're experiencing losing you. So thank you. I don't know if I should thank you for introducing me to Malort, but thank you. So thanks, Mike.
Well, Mike, I always think of you as a friend. I think, the energy that you brought to this job, and I think the one thing, when people brought up your name, whatever activity you were doing, we were always so proud of you, because we knew it was genuine. Your intelligence, I think that is something that has just amazed me, to bring up issues with you cold, and you've got all the detail behind it, and you understand this and that and whatever. And it's just something that it isn't just experience. It's just, you're a very smart man. And I really appreciate it. I hope you always come back and visit us, and we're all your friends, and best wishes. Okay. Thank you.
I was here when Mike started long time ago, but you'll definitely be missed. Your hard work, your dedication, your passion has impacted both this community and everyone in this area. Just thank you so much for your work. You really helped to bring a soul into the city with the events. You've done so much and just squeezing blood from stones here with finding sources of funding. It's remarkable, and we'll never be able to replace you. We need to hire 5 people. But thank you so much.
Well, I'm not gonna say anything that hadn't already been said, and I'm not very good at the gushy stuff. So, but we know I'm very grateful, publicly and privately, and from the very beginning until now. You know, there's an understanding. How grateful that I am personally, but also, of course, as a community. I get quite excited about going home and telling my family what's going on. I say, well, it's him. I say, might be, you know. So, however, I have a request. I really want you to keep up because I'm really, really curious to see how quick you can memorize and how many more miles you get on your bicycle in Richland. Those red maps are going to get quite long.
How many tires have you got?
I'm very grateful.
Staff, you have anything you wanted to add, or you think it's all covered? You don't have to. I don't want to pressure you. Just wanted to make sure I don't exclude you.
I mean, just working with you, Mike, has been a pleasure. I mean, there are times that, you know, I'm behind closed doors as staff are huddling together and going, I don't know how we're going to keep up with him. Like, this is crazy. Like, but your leadership has been awesome, and your faith in us has been tremendous and inspiring. And I mean, all the way down to, you know, our worker bees, you've always been supportive of building staff when you can. Obviously, it takes time, but yeah, it's just been a joy working with you, and we are going to miss you, and we wish you well.
Yeah, I'll second that. Mike, I've been here about 4 years, been working for you for 4 years, and when I first started, I was kind of like, there's all this stuff we have going on that you just kept adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. And as John said, yeah, behind closed doors, there's times we're going, Mike, stop. But I'm incredibly grateful for all the grants that you found and all the projects that you've started. And I'm committed to trying to see them all through. We have a lot underway, and I'm determined to finish them all and find more. But yeah, you will be missed. And I'm grateful for the time I got to work with you.
Thanks for my job.
So you'll have to come visit us and bring Vinny.
Yep.
You can't come without him at any time. So make sure you bring him home.
Yep, Vinny's doing 2 months. It's been a pleasure working here. It's been neat to build up the management team. I mean, I put it in perspective when I started here because of stuff that happened in the past. When you did the mapping of the staff, we were basically in 2000, it was like around 6,900 population and 60 staff members. By the time I got here in 16, it was actually where we were near 8,000, but the staffing count was all the way down to 33. and then basically going Street Fighter style on the money, and then with all your support to have local match, because that's the thing a lot of people don't understand. They think with the grants, it's like how it was in the 90s where you just put in stuff and it just magically gets there. You have to have local match, otherwise you're dead in the water. So over the years, your support to add in the necessary revenue to maximize those opportunities, that's allowed us to get up to essentially where our staff is near where it was at like long ago. So at least we're on the correct trajectory there, and we cracked the population barrier 10,000 finally. I was waiting for that, so that's pretty cool. And Lions Park. So yeah, I'll always be around. I mean, I proposed to my wife here at the Old Rogers field during the firework situation in Winterfest of 2021. So I'll be right down the road in Richland if you need anything. And yeah, it's been a great ride. So thank you.
Thank you for all the times you kept me out of trouble. Because there was a few when he'd be like, no, you can't do that. But I'm the mayor.
And you still did all the things?
And he
Yeah.
still did. So can you imagine if only I had full power.
Eric and Scott are feeling real secure in their job right now.
I think I need executive orders. Please.
As a city of Richland resident, your loss is my gain. So what are you gonna do, right? I feel terrible. I'm broken. Seriously, thanks, Mike. We do appreciate the opportunity, and Mike was able to give us that. So anyway,
Yeah.
just wanted to say that.
We are on a month to month, right?
Wow. Wow, it just got real.
All right, well, okay, moving on. So now, Mr. Carlton, Brian, were you almost an Olympian?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Wait.
Well, our very own almost Olympian, Mr. Carlton's going to present on the 2026 budget calendar.
No, I knew that.
But I got to know what your,
I don't know why that came up. On the sheet of paper.
yeah, I got all the magic notes, you know that. And what were you almost an Olympian swimming?
That's not me.
That's right, I think. How,
What kind of?
how cool is that? He wishes.
That's the year that Canada and the US boycotted the Olympics, 1980.
Was it in Russia?
Yeah.
On Moscow?
Would you have made it
I
if they didn't?
remember.
Your microphone's not on. None of this is.
Oh, turn your microphone on.
I was ranked.
Get your microphone on?
I was ranked top 4 in Canada at the time, so.
I remember that year because I wrote an essay on why our Olympians should have been able to compete for my freshman
Yeah, it
year.
was pretty depressing. I
Right?
remember it back then, yeah.
Most of us over here
And by
were born.
84,
Yeah, no.
and by 84, I'd burnt out of swimming, so.
You were an old man by then.
Wow.
In swimming
At that
terms.
time, yeah.
All right, so you're gonna share with us the 2026 budget calendars. It's already that time.
Yes, I wanted to share this with council. We're kicking off the 2026 budget season. It's a little bit early. We're still about a month out till I get the department heads going on their portion, but I'll need that time to set up the budget and get it prepped. Some major points, I won't go through everything. The ones that affects council, our first council will be looking at the property tax and revenue estimates at the September 23rd council meeting. The next one we'll look at is in October. Beginning of October, we'll look at a full budget workshop with department heads going through the departmental budget estimates. The next, at the end of October, the 28th meeting, we'll have a public hearing on the property tax and revenue sources for 2026 and passing the property tax levy. The next significant, then we'll work through various, we'll bring back to council. We have some reporting deadlines we must make. And then we'll set the property tax levies on the November 11th council meeting and also have a preliminary budget hearing. It seems like quite a ways away, but I know it's gonna go fast. Then if necessary, we'll have a finance committee review on the 19th and then the final budget hearing on the 25th of November. Then we move into December where if we need to, we'll have a final presentation at the workshop on December 2nd and then adopting the budget on the 9th. I know this year we adopted it a couple weeks early at the last meeting in November. So here we go again.
All right, we're gonna aim to beat that one, last year's, right? All right.
Next year, we're gonna be approving it.
We can try.
I know.
Well, I know, I'm starting it early this year.
See, so you never know. Councilmember Jessup, questions or comments?
No, but thank you as always.
Councilmember Cleveland, nothing. Councilmember Peterson? Councilmember Sherman? No. Councilmember Boyle? All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see, we are moving on now to our, well, we have no public hearings for the record. And then we're on to our action items for which we have 7 of them. If you had a chance to look at them, I hope you had a chance to look at them because there's quite a few that the council regarding contracts. The first one I'm going to share the first one we're going to discuss is the proposal from GMP Consultants for the city administrator recruitment services. Did I say I was going to take this one? I think I did, didn't I? I can't remember. Okay, so we, as you can, if you've looked at the contract, we received a proposal from Greg Prothman at GMP Consultants, who has previous experience with the city of College Place in working with us to hire Mike, Troy, Robert, I believe was even involved in that, and Brian.
Yeah.
Right, so he has strong knowledge of College Place, who we are, what we're doing, what we need. And I'm just gonna be frank here, he's also the one that got Mike hired somewhere else, but we won't go there.
Wait, I missed it. This is the guy that got Mike hired somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, so he gives and he takes, let me tell you. But he gave us something, he's given us a few good ones, so I think I'm gonna continue to trust him from here on. So he submitted a proposal, and I believe the contract was, what did the contract call for? I'm sorry. Because geez, sorry, I'm so sorry. The overall cost, here it is, I highlighted it, was for 18,500 that's for the recruitment. However, there are additional expenses. For example, there could be expenses to advertise on websites, job boards, direct mail announcements, mileage for the consultants, which are at the IRS rate, and a per hour fee of $82.50. Background checks for each of the candidates. There's also fees for there. And then there may also be some miscellaneous expenses. We know that last year, the city of Milton Freewater did a city manager recruitment, and I believe there's almost came out to 40,000. It was, so once it was all said and done. So we're recommending adding just a little bit extra contingency to that for a total of $35,000 for estimated recruitment cost for our next city administrator. As you see, there's also, if we're going to do a community forum or candidate meet and greet, there's expenses for there. Let me take a quick look here. So this is just for the recruitment part of the city administrator. So I'm going to go through council members to see if you have any questions or comment regarding the contract. Councilmember Jessup,
Not at the moment, thank you.
Councilmember Cleveland, Councilmember Peterson,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Sherman.
My only question is, was this reviewed by one of the attorneys to just make sure that it would like pass muster? And then the only thing that I saw was something about like if they leave within 18 months, they'll do another search, but they have to be notified within 6 months. That doesn't.
I think within 6 months of them leaving. Of the
Is that, I was hoping I was reading it wrong. Is that what it is? No, I can't find it.
I can double check on that. That's how I understood it because
Okay.
it's gonna be 18 and 6. It didn't make sense. So
Yeah, I
right.
was not sure how that,
Within, yeah.
yeah.
And no, I did not send this to the attorneys. This is Prothman, GMP
Oh, of the employees.
standard,
Yeah.
standard contract. Councilmember Boyle?
No, thank you.
All right. If we have no questions or comments, do we have a motion for this resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 25-039, authorizing the mayor to sign the city administrator search contract with GMP Consultants and establishing a budget for the city administrator recruitment not to exceed $35,000.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Councilmember Cleveland.
Councilmember Cleveland, thank you. We have a first and a second on this resolution. Any additional discussion?
My only question is on this, it says dollar amount 40,000, but then in the actual motion, it says 35,000.
It should be
Is there-
35,000.
Okay, just making sure,
Sorry.
just
Yes.
making sure that,
Yes, 35,000 in the amount of 35,000.
But
Same question,
no,
Councilmember Peterson?
yeah, I saw that, but that's, yeah. So the budget source, is that new or I missed that on prior? Is that the journal entry that's gonna?
To split it between those accounts?
Yeah, that's how Mike's current wage is allocated. So
Okay,
this is all isn't hit into current expense.
so that's why you're including that on, I got you. Okay, okay.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was wondering what that was.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, we have a first and a second. Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you. I will follow up with Greg Prothman tomorrow and see when we can get going with this. I'm hoping to not make this a long search. I'm hoping that we are such a popular place that it won't take long to get all these applications in, right? Next, I'm going to follow it up with the contract from GMP Consultants, so the same agency for the interim city administrator services. So they have provided us with a contract for the interim city administrator, Mr. Matthias here. I think his resume was added onto the wrong section. His resume is attached to the previous agenda item if you hadn't had a chance to see it. But Mr. Matthias, Heather and I had a chance and Paul was in one of the interviews to interview a few interims. And Lauren, I'm sorry, yes, and Lauren. Okay, my apologies, that's right. And so these were potential interims brought forth by GMP Consultants. And then we, in the decision to choose Mr. Matthias came with his vast experience in city management and community development and knowledge. Mr. Matthias is not looking for a full permanent position as he is retired and enjoying family time back in Des Moines, Washington. So not Iowa, back on the other side of the states. And so he would be here just for the interim, and the contract GMP had sent us for that. Sorry, let me just get back to that one. I pushed myself too far and now my thing stopped moving. Can you open up that contract, Mary Elizabeth? Oh, here it is. I think I've got it. No. Yes. Sorry, this tablet is moving really slow and then I'm pressing it and then it's going back too many times. Right, okay.
It's in the resolution, Mayor.
Okay. Okay, so the fee is for the search and placement of Mr. Matthias, as well as the term of why he's here for the interim as we do our search. Let's see. No, that doesn't have it, Mary Elizabeth. Okay. So, okay, the resolution would be authorizing me to enter into a contract for a rate of $116 an hour. So it's not a flat fee, it's a per hour rate. We will compensate occasionally for overnight accommodations. And we pay GMP a finder's fee of 15%. We reimburse GMP, so GMP will pay Mr. Matthias's cost, and then we reimburse it to GMP. So we do not pay directly as he is a contract employee with GMP, serving here in College Place. I think that's all I had here, but because of the dollar amount, we don't know that it's open-ended. We don't know what ultimately what the end cost will be, because it'll be dependent on how long it takes us to find our permanent replacement and any how much time Mr. Matthias would need to spend here during city administrative work. So that's why we've come to council for it, since we don't know the maximum amount it will be. All right. Questions or comments? Councilmember Jessup, nothing. Councilmember Cleveland, Councilmember Peterson.
So most of this time, are we expecting it on site or remote or a hybrid combination, or what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Matthias.
Yeah, thank you. I need to say, first of all, that I've spent 2 days with Mike and I'm exhausted.
I just heard John say, "Welcome to my life."
Yeah, no.
Only 49.
No, I appreciate that. I'd like to, kind of confirm a schedule with the mayor, which I haven't had a chance to do yet, but I would anticipate spending at least 80% of my time here and perhaps 1 day out of every 2 weeks remotely. So I'd be on site for the most part.
And we don't know the answer to the time frame, do we? But you're open. I wasn't part of that. You have this interview, but I mean, hopefully we find somebody. Yeah, go ahead.
I can get a good night's sleep.
Thank you.
You're probably thinking, what did I do?
Just to give you a little historical synopsis for those who were around the last time, like when y'all got me in 16, so Heather, Lauren, and Mac. My predecessor between Pat and myself was Michael Jackson, the former Spokane Valley CM, and similar concept, except at the time before Prothman split into two Prothmans, it was under the original Prothman, and in that case, similar thing. It was contract employees, so similar exact setup. I will say the average for this sort of search typically tends to be around 4 months. So between 12 and 16 weeks is the average. And that's pretty much cities any size. If you map it out, that is the delta.
Is that what it took when we got here?
Yeah. Yeah, because when Pat ironically, it was the same time of year. So I don't know if June is like bad luck or what, but Pat left here in June of 16, and then I started in November of 16.
Thanks, Mike, for that. Yeah, reminder of how
Yeah.
long that took. And it's not a big issue. I was
Yeah.
just trying to, what, whether you'll get bored of us or, it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, with the time frame. Like, yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Did I ask Councilmember Sherman?
No, I'm shaking my head.
Okay, Councilmember Boyle?
Yep.
All right. If there's no questions or Boyle,
She said Boyle, but I said no.
sir.
And people have been sued for that. So I just
Oh, okay, yeah.
I went to school. Sorry.
We sent her to.
Where do I file for that?
Yeah.
And
Right, for calling you the wrong name. Well,
I've been called worse.
So if we have no additional questions or comments, can I have a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-040, authorizing the mayor to sign the College Place interim city administrator contract with GMP Consultants.
Thank you.
Second, Peterson.
We have a first and a second. Thank you. Is there any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Welcome, Mr. Matthias. And, you can thank Greg, just like I'm thanking Greg for, putting you in the situation.
Yeah, there's always a story behind the story, right?
No, thank you. We appreciate you being here and taking your time away from home and in our lovely summertime where we will be 90 degrees coming up pretty soon here. 102, even better. And we're not near the water. All right. Next. Gosh, where am I? Okay, my last one for me is a professional service contract with Mr. Rizzatello, also known as Whiskers and Puzzles LLC, for grant writing and project management. Now, what this is as we continue bringing in and doing our search and then onboarding our new city administrator, Mike has graciously offered for a salary for just joking, to continue providing us support services, and rightfully deserves a pay for project management of anything that's already going on, which allows us, the staff and myself, to reach out to him should we need help with something that is already ongoing. And then for grant writing, should something come up that Mike is available to assist us with, it's not a conflict for his next employer. And this contract was reviewed by our city attorneys, since it's just a standard contract, but again, it's open-ended. There's no set dollar amount because we don't know what, if any, we will be utilizing and for how long we will need it, all dependent on what our new city administrator's capabilities are, or just at any point where he may need or she may need additional support services throughout the year, since we, I don't want to lose this grant writing whiz. I don't know about the rest of you. So this is a professional contract with Mike Rizzatello and the business of, I'm sorry, was it Puzzles and Whiskers?
Yeah, that was the bigger.
That's his ferret's names. How cute is that? In the amount of $90 an hour, which is billable, broken into quarter-hour increments. So we don't have to pay for the full hour. He will track his time, submit the invoices as a consultant. It's a pretty simple standard contract, but like I said, the only thing again that we're coming to council, the reason we're coming to council is because it's open-ended and we don't know what the end dollar amount will be. and and how long that we will continue the contract. So I'm going to go to council members to see if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions. If there's anything, a different way you want to handle this. Councilmember Jessup,
No, it sounds like a great idea.
Councilmember Cleveland.
Just one question for Mike. Do you sleep?
Uh,
Have you ever tried it?
Well, yeah, this LLC I created this because one of the ways I was supplementing my income late is I actually was doing an artificial intelligence coding for a software I was developing. So that's why the LLC exists. So
no.
no,
No.
yeah, yeah.
But I can tell you, sometimes I have woken up in the middle of the night because a brilliant idea popped in my head. And I'll message Mike expecting an answer, later on in the day, and I get it like immediately right back. It's like 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's a no.
Yeah.
Councilmember Peterson.
No, I think this speaks volumes of our relationship.
Yeah.
Continuing with you, Mike. And thank you so much. When I saw this on here, it warmed my heart. So yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to this.
Yep.
Councilmember Sherman
No, I have no questions. It looked good to me.
and Councilmember Boyle.
No questions. Looks good.
Okay.
All right. And lucky enough for you all, when it's my own things, I don't have any questions to add to your time. So if there's no further questions.
Sure.
Comments, Councilmember.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion adopting resolution number
Please.
25-041, authorizing the mayor to sign the professional service contract with M. Rizzitalo LLC, doing business as Whiskers and Puzzle LLC for project management and grant writing.
I'll second.
Councilmember Sherman was second. Is that correct? Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion other than our gratitude for being able to continue this relationship in this way as well?
No, I'm not even there.
All right. All right, hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you.
Yep.
Passed. I said passed with a T. Passed. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you submitting this to me and getting it to me on time so that we can get this to council. Appreciate it. All right, moving on. Mr. McAndrews and Mrs. Schmidt. Oh, there she is. Yes. Okay. With a salary ordinance update.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. So we are just adding a couple of positions to the salary ordinance. One of them was budgeted for. We didn't have a job description at the time. One's been completed now, so that's the arborist position. The other one is we currently have a public works inspector listed on our salary ordinance. We're changing that to a public works inspector 2 and adding a public works inspector 1. All of these have gone through Mike and Brian and the union. So it's just finalizing, adding the positions on the salary ordinance.
All right. Councilmember Jessup, questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Cleveland, Councilmember Peterson, Councilmember Sherman, Councilmember Boyle.
Nope.
All right, we're just doing some housekeeping. So if there's no additional discussion, do we have a motion on this ordinance?
I'll motion to authorize ordinance number 25-005, approving adding the arborist / urban forester, public works inspector 1 and public works inspector 2 positions to the salary ordinance.
I'll second.
Second, Councilmember Boyle. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Ms. Schmidt, aren't you glad you hung on all this whole hour and a half or whatever it's been so you could have that 3 minutes?
My 30 seconds. Yeah, I've got a wild toddler running around in need of a bath. So I might hop off here and get him down to bed. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, let's see next. Mr. McAndrews is going to present on contract amendment with Universal Field Services for the right-of-way acquisition on Majania Road.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we've talked about Majania Road several times. the city has a contract with, was PBS Engineering. They've since been bought out by Apex. So Apex PBS, who has subcontracted with Universal Field Services, for right-of-way acquisition. So going through this process on a project like Majonier is time consuming, takes a lot of work. And so through this process, the original contract with Universal Field Services is essentially eaten up. And so this is authorizing about a 16% increase. It's a little over $30,000 more to get us across the finish line with the right-of-way acquisition piece on the Majonier Road project. So with that, I'd open up to any questions.
All right, Councilmember Jessup,
Pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Councilmember Cleveland, Councilmember Peterson.
No questions.
Councilmember Sherman, no. Councilmember Boyle.
No.
All right. We have no questions or comments. Do we have a motion for this amendment?
Motion to approve the UFS contract amendment, increasing the current budget of $189,347 by 16% to a new budget of $219,600, $646.52.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Councilmember Cleveland.
Okay, Councilmember Cleveland, we have a first and a second for this contract amendment. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Next, we're almost at the tail end here, Mr. Rickard.
Sorry.
Mr. Do we have, the others? Yes, we have Mr. Merritt and it's just you and Mr. Merritt, right?
Yeah, it's just me.
Okay.
Me and Mr. Merritt. Michael
With two
Merritt.
proposed
I
applications.
apologize for the laugh there. You guys were moving along rather quickly, but now we're probably going to hit a little bit of a speed bump. So I had a little chuckle there.
He's getting back at us for all the times we've kept him
Right,
here.
right. No. We'll try to be quick because we did meet back in May at a council workshop and talked about quite a bit of this. We didn't have the land capacity analysis finalized. It's still in draft form. We're still doing a little bit of tweaking on some of the numbers, but I want to go through this real quickly, the land capacity analysis with you, and then we'll give you kind of a high level view of the applications that we're going to make and then ask for authorization to proceed with that. So we'll start out on page 2 of the land capacity analysis. The first thing that we did with the county was settle on a population allocation. So OFM allocates some high, medium, and low numbers to the county, and we settled on a number between median and high at 73,112 for the countywide population. And what that breaks down to on page 3 is an increase of population planning out to the year 2046 of 3,439 additional people for the city of College Place. So that's the target number of population that we're starting from. From there, if you recall, we talked about the HAP tool, that wonderful tool that Commerce developed and requires us to utilize. We plug that population number into that, and based on the income levels for our area, that tells us the type of housing we need to plan for. So we need to plan for low income up to high income. So everything from the 50 to 80 AMI all the way up to greater than 120 AMI. So what that ultimately landed on was that we needed, based on that population increase, we needed another 1,500 housing units for College Place. And where that falls out, if you'll see on page 5 of the LCA, we need 208 single family residences, and we need basically 1,300 multifamily units for a total of 1,504 units. From there, that's when we start to get into the nuts and bolts of doing the actual analysis of our existing city limits, the available land that we have internally, and there's basically 5 steps in that process. You have, draw a line in the sand. So we agreed that December 31st, 2024 was the date where we stopped looking at housing units like permits that we issued this year. We only included stuff that started that was issued at the end of December of 2024. We looked at pipeline projects. So those are things where we've had pretty significant pre-application meetings on, but maybe we don't have an application, or we have applications and we're working through the public notice process on those, but maybe we haven't issued a decision on the project, or things that we brought all the way through and we're starting to build houses. We consider those pipeline projects. So and so you'll see that on the next page. You can the map there, that is figure 2, all of the kind of orange areas are pipeline projects. And then there's a table there below that also lists out like the number of units for those pipeline projects, and some, I don't think we had any commercial listed in that, but and then from there we use the methodologies that we agreed with the county on, what do we determine is vacant, what's partially utilized, underutilized, those sort of things. And we plug those numbers into basically determine our total capacity. Jumping kind of forward to page 7, the end result of that, when we look at what the number of housing units that were needed for single family and multifamily, we determined that we have a future capacity of 773 dwelling units for single family. With the HAP tool showing that we needed 208, that puts us at a difference of 565. So we don't need any additional single family units based on this lovely tool. The multifamily, the numbers are a little different. We have a capacity of 914 units. The HAP tool is telling us we need 1,300. So we have a difference of a need for 382 units. So that equates out, by the time you figure out all the densities and stuff, to about 28 acres that are necessary. And we're still tweaking this a little bit because we did have a pre-application meeting with the county. And when we showed them these numbers, they asked us, well, what are you doing internally in the city limits to accommodate those, that difference? And so we took that as a hint that we should be looking at that a little bit more closely when they're looking at our application. So we will be making a proposal to upzone some properties in town. For instance, like the Lipiani property off of Larch between 8th and 6th. That was factored in the buildable lands analysis that we did as single family. We'll upzone that to multifamily. And I think that was the big one that we think will make a difference. So that 28 acres will likely shrink. I mean, that we'll make some adjustments, and that's where I say we're making some tweaks to this land capacity analysis, and we'll have that all buttoned up before we actually make our applications here towards the end of the week. And then we jump and look at the commercial and light industrial lands on page 8. That's a pretty simple 1-to-1 ratio of basically for every based on your population allocation and the number of rooftops that you need, or a population, you end up with that many jobs needed. So what we're showing is that we have a combined total of 131 acres of vacant commercial land, and 50 acres of vacant land and 16 acres of underutilized, which adds, and then 64 pipeline commercial projects that are available for commercial industrial development for a combined total of 131 acres of available land for commercial and industrial development. So that's what we have available, and based on our employment projections of 1,500 and our population of 3,400, we have determined that we need roughly another, we have a deficiency of 370 employees. And that means we need roughly 58 acres of combined commercial and industrial lands. So, so we'll show you what we're looking at in there. So the end result is that we're showing a need for multifamily and we're showing a need for industrial lands. We have some options up our sleeve. We have some swap options, and we'll show you what those are on some UGA that we're not utilizing. And I'm gonna, then the back half of this is the tables that kind of backs all this up that Michael's kind of, somebody's scrolling through right now. I think Michael is. That is the data and the analysis behind the narrative of the LCA, which I would encourage you to all get your bifocals out and check out. It's riveting stuff. Michael, do you want to pull up are there any questions before we move into the next step?
I have a question. The commercial acreage, how much of the 131 that I think that you said we currently have is Martin Airfield?
So, so the 131 is lands that either is in pipeline or, so that the Martin Airfield area, the portions of it that are not buildable because of like the runway and things like that are not calculated into that. So I don't know that I can give you that exact number,
okay,
but it's probably in the data.
Okay, I was just surprised because I didn't think we even had that much outside of Martin Airfield of industrial or commercial.
Well, we have.
Or are we talking about like College Avenue even
I mean, can you pull up a map of, Michael, of the commercial stuff?
Here it is.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Michael.
We've got all of these properties along South College across from the high school that are zoned commercial. There are some over south of the Home Depot, and then
Commercial Drive, the high school, and then of course some around Martin Airfield, of course. So yeah, there's stuff up like the Gugamelli piece, and we have that as a pipeline because we have some.
Okay.
So that doesn't actually calculate into it. So the green or the orange areas are our pipeline projects for the commercial. So you can kind of see those scattered in that diagram, and then the gray are the vacant. And what was the yellow one? Is that just like all Martin Airfield, or I can't tell what that means.
partially utilized.
Partially utilized, okay.
And then red is underutilized, which means while it may be zoned commercial, it might have a single family residence on it or something like that. That's kind of inhibiting growth, or change, but not, stopping it from being commercial if someone wants to make that move.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have questions? Okay.
Okay. So, you want to start with the UGA swaps there, Michael?
Yeah, so this will lead into the next item on the agenda, which will be our applications to the county. And we're dividing them into two applications. One is called Urban Growth Area Swap, and then the other one will be our Urban Growth Area Expansion. And so let me pull up a map for you. Here is our overall swap map. So we've got basically 3 different areas. We've got out on Southwest 12th, we've got some UGA that is never going to be developed, owned by 2 property owners. And then we've got Hayshaker Farms currently within city limits, currently within the de-annexation process, trying to get them out of the UGA. And then we've got this piece up south of Wallula, north of Rose, which is about 16 parcels, I think, that average at about 1 acre in size, and they all have single-family residence on it. It's just not really all that conducive to future growth. Development within that area would be accessory dwelling units maybe, and then there are some limiting factors. It's just not as easy to or worthwhile potentially. John might have better verbiage there to hook it up with utilities compared to other spots. So we're going to swap these 2, we're proposing to swap these 2 UGA areas down here to the south. This is a piece of property owned by Conan just north of the future school site, which you can see my cursor is right about here. And then there's 2 properties here. One has a house on it and the other one's roughly 3 acres undeveloped. But for cohesion and city boundaries along Ofty Lane and whatnot, those would be brought in. And you can kind of see the math here. We got 24 acres out 12th, and then the 14 acres up north, and that's a total of just under 39 acres, and then we'd be shooting for about 32 acres of swap down south. The other change would be that those are all designated as single-family residential currently. The Conan piece, the bigger piece down there, would be 25 acre. It's the 25 acre piece, and we would change that to multifamily residential to meet that deficiency and multifamily pointed out in the HAP tool. You can see these are yellow for single family, and this one's brown for multifamily. Any questions on that one?
No.
And then in terms of our expansions, as we previously stated, we've got a deficiency of 382 multifamily units. That's basically 19 acres of multifamily if we're building out at 20 units an acre. These numbers are subject to change if we were to rezone the Limpiani property off 6 and large, but to fill that need, we're looking to add this Breeze property up here north of Wallula and west of the manufactured home park. Additionally, we'd be looking at bringing in, these don't really count towards the HAP tool and whatnot, but we'd be looking at bringing in land for a park up near that property up here, which would be multifamily, and then we'd be bringing in the school site. Next, when we get into the commercial and industrial side, John kind of went over those top numbers, but there is a property near Martin Airfield that of 20 acres owned by Mr. Boogie, and at the ratios that John went over, that would be 123 light industrial jobs. So that would be this piece here across the street, north on Whitman. And then
And that property was included in that Martin Airfield study as well, just to give you an
and then that leaves 247 jobs that we're still trying to work with, which comes out to 37 acres of commercial property. So for that, we're adding in these pieces near the Highway 125 and College Ave intersection owned by Mr. Arbini, Hodgins, and I forget the name of this last one, but it's a little less than it's 25 acres total, or 25 and a half acres, where we were deficient a little over 37, but we do have to account for the school adding potential jobs. And then it would also give us some flexibility in the future, trying to kind of see what actually gets traction, where commercial develops. We can use that to educate our next urban growth area expansions, where we try to fill that gap between the 37 and the 25. Any questions on those? If anybody wants to see any of the maps.
No questions.
So everything on this slide would be one application, and then everything on this other slide would be the second application.
So, thank you, Michael. That, if there's not any questions, that basically, that concludes, our presentation. And then other than there is a economic component to this, in that we actually have to pay the county to review our applications and consider them. And that's roughly $36,000. And I put a ceiling up there at 40,000, just because the way their application process is, in case we left out something like an extra SEPA or something like that, I needed to have a little bit of wiggle room to throw another part of the application in there, the fees. So.
All right, Councilmember Jessup, questions or comments? Councilmember Cleveland, Councilmember Peterson?
John, what's the next steps? So this is kind of you're getting feedback from them, this process. Just real briefly, what does the future look like as far as this process?
Well, the applications are due July 1st. They have a docketing process, and so it's two parts. So our applications will go through a review, staff review, and then they'll review it for completeness. Basically, if they'll probably come back to us and ask for some clarifications, we'll address those, and then it'll go before their planning commission this summer is the plan. And then their planning commission holds a public hearing and makes a recommendation on whether or not it should move forward to their final docketing process. And then that recommendation goes to the county commissioners. And then from there, they have another hearing. And I think maybe sometime, hopefully in late winter or early spring, we'll have a decision from the county commissioners. In the meantime, yes, it's a slog. Fortunately, the state has given us a 6-month extension. All of us that are in this comprehensive plan update cycle, we have until the end of 2026. It was June of 2026, but they've given all of us an extension. So that gives us a little bit of wiggle room to have our comp plans done. Because,
and follow up, John, I think we talked about this, I think, last time, but we know what we're asking for and whatnot is you've gotten feedback. I think the realm of possibilities or reality, we think we're working within that lane right now as far as
We feel hopeful. I mean, we're, you know, our analysis used the methodology that we all agreed to. You know, we're looking at internally to make some tweaks within our zoning, to do some upzones. We think the request is reasonable, and within the guidelines and defensible. And that's the big thing for the county, is that they want to make sure that their decisions are defensible, as we do as well.
Yeah.
So,
never know, but yeah, great. Thanks.
yeah.
Councilmember Sherman?
No, just this seems like a very well thought out updates that you guys have made, or the swaps that you're suggesting. So thank you very much for looking at it a little bit differently based on what happened last time.
Councilmember Boyle?
No questions, just clearly thought and process, and all of the pieces of this have gone really, really well. So thank you for that time and effort.
I have just a weird question, but it occurred to me as you were talking about the multifamily units. Are like studio apartments considered part of multifamily units, even though they would only house one person?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, studio apartments, those are, I mean,
As long as
usually a
it's-
studio is in a larger complex.
Yeah, as long as it's complexes, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be.
I mean, you know, accessory dwelling units are, you know, could fall into that category as well, but they're usually in residential
Right.
zones. So
What about cottage housing?
cottage housing, I mean, usually you see cottage housing in a single family zone, but you might see it in multifamily as well. But multifamily is really, we're trying to shoot for that, you know, 20 units to the acre, or possibly even higher. I mean, but for Eastern Washington, 20 units to the acre is pretty dense.
Okay. All right, so if there's no other questions or comments, do we have a motion for this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 25-042, authorizing urban growth area swap expansion and rezone applications.
Is there a second? Councilmember Cleveland was second. So we have a first and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of resolution number 25-042, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you, John. Okay, I just wanted to make sure he was still up there. Thank you, Mr. Merritt. Appreciate it. All right, finally, our last one for the night is Mr. Rickards going to, present on the agreement for professional services with JUB Engineers for the 2025 Comprehensive Plan Update.
Thank you, Mayor. So presently, we've been using our on-call services contract to do the work that we've been doing with JUB's been helping us with that, doing, you know, the LCA and that stuff. The actual update itself comes with, you know, there is funding, $125,000 that'll be dosed out to us in two contracts. We have one for this first phase under contract with Commerce. So now we need, in order to pay JUB for the work that they've been doing on the preliminary work on the comprehensive plan, we need to get a contract underway with them. So the contract dollar amount is for $228,600. Obviously, all of the grant is not going to cover all of that. So current expense will pick up the shortfall from that. But it's a pretty thorough contract. It'll address all of the needs of the comprehensive plan, except the critical area ordinance portion of that is not included in this contract. And I want to say there was another part of it. Oh, the climate stuff is not included in that. That'll be a separate contract that we'll bring back to you guys separately, because once we get into the reviewing of our current development regulations on the, like relating to the critical area ordinance update, we'll have a better idea of what the scope of work will need to be for that contract. And then the climate change contract is a separate thing as well, so. Any questions?
Councilmember Jessup? No questions. Councilmember Cleveland? Councilmember Peterson? Councilmember Sherman? Councilmember Boyle?
Nope.
Okay. And I see that there's a fiscal impact not budgeted. Is that, am I understanding that correct of the? It doesn't say whether it's budgeted or not, it just says yes for fiscal impact. So I'm wondering if that means. No. And that, I'm just because I know we were on a tight budget.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a budget, but there is like local match money going to this to match the state grant, which we're due because we're fully optionally planning community. So I say optional because we weren't mandated, but the county like signed all that in the 90s and now everyone's stuck with it. So
Sure, right, because they got a big chunk of money right at the time.
yeah, back then, and then we're all paying for it years later.
I just wanted to make sure because I believe we're on a tight budget this year and we've already had a number of unexpected expenses and we'll continue to have for the next few months. So I just wasn't sure where we were at with that. All right. No other questions or comments? All right, do we have a motion for resolution 25043?
I move to approve resolution number 25-043, authorizing the mayor or city administrator to execute professional services with JUB engineers for the 2026 comprehensive plan update.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rickard.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have any information or administrative reports on the agenda tonight. There's one informational report in your packet. If you have not already read it, please do look them over. And we do not have an executive session tonight, so we are down to closing items. So is there any other business for good of the order?
Yeah. Freedom Festival is this weekend. It is Sunday from 6 to 10 p.m. at College Place High School. That should have been an administrative report. Sorry, guys.
6 to 10 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
I should have known this. All right.
Fireworks if Mike's not here.
We will always have fireworks because Mike was here.
And we have our Olympian coming.
Yes, Kenneth Brooks is coming. He is making a 3-hour long appearance at least. Wants to engage with the community in a way that we don't usually get from athletes and stuff, which is really super cool. He's going to do some autographs. He's going to run laps around the track with the community. Unless there's like a mob, in which case he will run 1 lap around the track with the community. And community Q&A and
Key to City?
am I allowed to say that?
No.
Okay.
So we'll just leave it there. Did we buy the silver medals? Is that what you were? Yeah. Did we get the silver medals for the?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll talk to you offline. All right. Any other questions? I hope to see you all there at Freedom Festival. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like. It's usually generally pretty hot. And do we already have that all organized with the police department and fire, all that?
They have the plans.
Public Works,
in place,
everything's
they're
already
all
in plans?
staffed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, I don't want to sign us off, but we have no other business for good of the order. So if there's nothing more, do we have a motion to conclude? Sorry, Mike. Can't end it.
So moved.
Councilmember Jessup made a motion to conclude the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Boyle. So if there's no objections, Mike's last meeting in the City of College Place is concluded at 8:54 PM.
Just for you, Mike. We had a long meeting.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Thanks, everyone.